Match number 1.
Poor Kaja.
Yeah,
Being banned most of the time.
That's the thing. Kaja is a little bit like I feel a bit sad, right? He's got the most nerfs out of all the heroes. I think 3 to 4 times the nerfs. It's still first pick material.
It's broken.
It's
I would say it's just it's like an easy way to actually get one buddy off with the divine.
Yeah, especially in a professional game, that one person that could be essential to the team, like you want to pick out the Kimi or anybody, Kaja can just do that easily for you. So we see the Valor ban coming in, pretty standard. We've seen this in the last couple of games as well. I'm guessing maybe a Grok or a Cho could be banned.
Nah, Kufra for sure. Kufra is just too good to pass out. Like if you don't ban Kufra, either of these teams is definitely going to be picking this. But
I got a feeling that they might just ban something else, like, you know, and yep, Chao
Your
is one of the
team
things
is
that you
banning.
got to remove first, because Aeon is really efficient in towards getting those flanks. But if they do not ban things like the Grok, they can leave it open and find some other picks and leave the Kufra out so that Resurgence could actually secure that Kufra in their hands.
Now they have to decide, do they ban the Kufra or did they ban
Your
the
team is picking.
Well,
export?
this is going to be keeping.
Yeah, seems to me, Axis, they have to make a decision now, export or Kufra. And both, that's the thing, Axis is what they can play both, but I feel like they're going to be prioritizing on the export instead for Lasset, but you know, there's a flexibility here for Lasset to actually go for the timers in the later stage of the game, so I don't think they're too worried about it, but I think they might prioritize the Kufra pick here on Axis Esports.
Well, it's going to be either one, and of course there's still the Grok that's up there on, and that will be the very first pick for the side of Axis Esports, which leaves those other worthy mentions, of course. Yeah. Kufra will be really great if they can secure it right now. Then for Lun, I'm thinking that there's going to be some great hard hitters like Export, so yep, that's going to be the first pick, but second pick here. It might just be something else out of here.
Could be Esmeralda, could be Kufra as well. Yeah,
they need the Kufra. They need the Kufra. Like, come on. Like, why would
Esmeralda.
Well,
okay.
Your team
just like
is
what
picking.
they mentioned right here, Faraz was pretty right because both teams have been playing a lot Esmeralda, and Axis Esports now have to opt for something else. So maybe that will be a little bit of physical damage. Could this be the guard coming in for the first time in day 2?
I would actually like to see the Kufra being picked up by Axis. We've seen time and time again some teams focus a lot on the tanks, and the tanks can bring so much more to the table. Taking away Kufra, taking away Grok will leave Resurgence vulnerable to how many tanks are left? We have Akai, which could be banned later. You know, Lolita is going to be there, but it's very situational as well.
Yeah,
right?
very situational. And of course, there's also one pick that I would like to also bring up, because Mr. B is one of the best Minotaurs out there. He might just bring it back just for the sake of it. It's going to be the Akai as well as the Granger for Lasset. Remember, yesterday, we've seen some great work coming out of that Granger there. Every single hit was basically a critical, and they're putting it to good use once more.
Long was one of the MVPs with the Grangers. They just did so much damage to those kind of team fights here. But yeah, I think it brings back to the point as well. Axis Esports, they always prioritize the Akai. The Evo X is a piece of it, and I think a lot of teams actually understood that by banning it off. So at the same time now, prioritizing that Akai, I think Resurgence, it's pretty straightforward. They have to take the Kufra. Like, why would you not take the Kufra?
Well, it really depends, but for now, I feel like, yes, that will be one of the best choices out there. If you take the Minotaur, you'll be pushed away by the Akai. So that great
Your team is
coming
banning.
in. Now we're heading in towards the second phase, where, of course, you see Sync as well as KCP just sitting on the sidelines there, cheering on the team. But now, final 2 bans, I feel like Resurgence will axe out an Assassin. Well, they've already got their mages all tech. While Axis Esports, perhaps a great ban on T-Words, yet another frontliner will be great for them.
Well, I feel like they're going to be banning out the Lolita just because of the shield that just brings so much value towards Esmeralda, and also blocking all the shots coming from the Granger itself. So the Lolita ban would be great, but I'm not too sure if Resurgence actually play the Lolita that much as compared to other heroes like the Hylos. Potentially they may pick it up towards this current day itself, but you know, 5 seconds here seems to me it's going to be the
Your
carry
team
ban here.
is banning.
I think that's pretty much great for them, and now there's only very little left. They've already got the Kimi ban out as well, so perhaps they might opt for a Harif, they might opt for a Lunox as well, just to deal a little bit more threat. And we know Resurgence has been pretty much well known to play double mages composition, so that could also work for RSG as well.
But seeing how the next phase here, banning the next heroes, mages, Gord is still up for grabs, Changi is still in the pool as well. but seems to me they did not ban the Lolita, so they're not going to be picking Changi, but Axis Esports, they may consider picking the Kagura, for example. I think we saw a Kagura game yesterday.
Yeah, we did, and it was good. It was good. I think it was our last game.
Yeah, I would say that very final game with that Kagura pick was really a stroke of genius. And now we're looking at the Tamas being brought out. So this is a little bit of that late game security as well, so that the Tamas will be able to fend off anyone. And you talk about how great having some true damage on the table is. This will be able to actually shred out really hardcore tanks like the Grok, like the Akai as well. And for the final pick, RSG needs to actually see what's on the table for Axis Esports for the current time being. So there's still the Gushin as well, so maybe Axis can opt for that.
Yeah, the Gushin pick is going to be okay, but
I feel Gushin like can go out if the Kufra is there.
Yeah, a little bit. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And not to mention, about Kufra is going to be setting his targets on the Akai, making sure to try and cancel the Hurricane Dance. But I feel like the key hero here is going to be Lasit's off-lane hero. Seems to me it's going to be forcing a Badang.
I love the Badang.
Oh,
wow. Wow, they're bringing the core as well. So now we're looking at a great balanced composition for the side of Axis Esports. And the Badang was brought in because they saw the X-Borg, they saw the Esmeralda. What better way to shred out all these shield than to use the Frizz Crack and just negate all of that from happening. And now we're looking at Lancelot. Are we getting this one? Bobby is just waving up from the crowd and looking at Lancelot. I think this is a little bit more interesting. If they were to actually go for split pushes, it would be pretty much well as efficient for the side of RSG as well. Well, Resurgence here, they're still taking a few time. They still have 15 seconds if they want to switch it out for something else. Hayabusa is also available, but we don't really see all too much of Hayabusa being played by Resurgence though.
Well, I'm worried here because they need a second tank and also a marksman. It seems to me it's going to be a solo tank coming with Kufra. Okay, Tamu secondary tank maybe?
Perhaps so, and now we're seeing Claude being brought in. And how is it going to be? And now let's have a look at the, of course, teasers for M1.
Nails done. I love the girls with their nails done.
This is your second match in day 2 of the MPL MY SG Season 4. It's Axis Esports versus Resurgence. Now, this is another Malaysian versus Singaporean affair between the two. And every single time we go in for that, it's a 3-game series. Are you looking forward to that? I say maybe 1-2.
Honestly speaking, I'm always looking for 3 games, but seeing how the draft went, I feel bad for Resurgence because who's going to be the second tank? I'm worried about that because Kufra as a main tank is going to be tough, but let's just see how they're going to be pulling it off here because right now, Axis Esports is pulling a strategy that they used from the previous Season 3, and Badang, it was a god here when Badang was just first introduced. It was great, but they could not close out this game. But hopefully, things will be a little bit different now coming into this game.
I can see that Axis Esports now looking forward to getting a little bit more of that teamfight potential when you're looking at having Rin to play on that board. So, of course, you got to look out for that element. If it's being lined up inside of those choke points in the jungle, it will be pretty tough for RSG. A little bit of that balancing bubble there, trying to get a little bit of a clip, but it was Aeon trying to snap that one away. I guess they really have to give the bubble away.
Yeah, RSG, you know, despite having an X-Bot, they couldn't play the early aggression, but lastly here, going to try and break those Piranha armor, and Aeon will get made out a little bit, but it's not too much yet coming from the side of Axis Esports, but still, I'm worried here, because I'm pretty sure Axis Esports, they want to wait for this level 4 up on Rin before they actually start an engagement, hoping to set up with the Fist Break themselves, and seeing how the item is here, we do see one arrival on Badang, so we're not going to see a flicker Fist Break here coming in from Axis Esports.
Yeah, I would say that having the rival will be great for him because he can go in for a little bit push and rejoin the fight anytime he wants. But Resurgence here, we're seeing some impressive rotations coming in from the top side all the way to its mid lane. There's a 2-2-1 split for them. While we're having a little bit of that pause, but as we look into it, how Axis Esports is going to get a little bit of that advantage because based on what we're seeing here, it's going to be the turtle coming up online by the top side of the river, and we're already seeing 3 members each on that sort of area, and I feel this is going to be a little bit difficult for either side to actually commit in towards that full-blown fight for that early phase.
Yeah, definitely here. And speaking of early phases here, Resurgence right now, they're going to try and capitalize as much as they can. But unfortunately to say, I don't think they can do too much unless the Kufra has the Tyrant's Rage available, and same goes for Esmeralda, who needs those turtle buffs to actually snowball their way through. So this first turtle buff is going to be the contestment and the most important factor for both these teams to contest before actually reaching the pinnacle point in the middle stage of the game. But seeing how things go, Aeon
getting himself in trouble. That's some death coming from the death and that will be the first blood headed to Axis Esports.
Nicely done here, but it's not over. Mr. V trying to go for a setup here, but it's only level 3 guard. Pops the ultimate, tries to dish it out damage here, and Resurgence, they are all half HP, but Axis Esports, they have to disengage because Lun is right here, and he's going to be waiting for the falling star moon before going for the setup. But as of now, it's going to be a stalemate here. Axis Esports, they want those level 4s up.
Yeah, we saw Aeon fighting more than he can chew, moving in towards the enemy's territory, and eventually that great wall being brought out by Rock right there managed to actually get one advantage through, and look at how efficient they went in with Lung landing that very final blow. Now, Ward did a lot of damage throughout that sort of position where the rest of the Resurgence they can't really mark all the way in, but look at that, that's going to be pretty much a free pickup for that Kufra.
Nice pickup here coming from Resurgence, and Axis is what I told you about this here, right? They are want to be prioritizing on this buff here, and Aeon is going to be a little bit sneaky, like trying to go for the shield, and Low is a little bit low. Hurricane that's trying to shut him out, but Low is going to go for the crit here, and Aeon, he doesn't want to contest. Oh, looks like they will respect each other, but EVOS, he's not happy. Oh,
great wall charge to actually finish things up. Like here comes Mr. B as well, bouncing ball to actually get a little bit of that movement going on for them. But Axis here, getting a few picks has been so far so good, and EvilX, he was in the right position at the right time. So perhaps they can actually go in for a turtle for this time, because the rest of RSG, they're all scattered all throughout the map, and there's Akai guarding pretty well over on the bottom lane.
And speaking of which here, turtle buff is still going to be up available here. Axis Esports, they want to push on the lane a bit before actually going for the fights here, but seeing how this gold graph right now is favoring Resurgence just because of that pickup and lane control. But Mr. B thinks my turn yet, nice flicker, and it seems to be Axis Esports has committed a little bit too much, and right now they need to focus on this tier 1.
Here comes Abi with the blazing duel as well, trying to shred them all to pieces, but he's going to be able to jump back with Dexter's help. So the middle lane turret will be focused down by Aeon, and they did not see that one coming, where Akai just managed to watch as it burns down to smithereens. Well, now as it stands, 2-2-1 for the time being, but the goal difference is still pretty much stark in this early phase. RSG already getting into his position, and he spots out EvilX, trying to actually burn him down in flames, but yep, not going to get too much. But Gordo lands that sort of a snare on towards Aeon, and now they're starting up that turtle.
Yeah, Axis Esports are in no position to fight here, but RSG, they want to take one guy out before actually taking turtle, but as of now, Scott, he gets blocked here from the bouncing ball, and will the cord connect? It seems to be no pickups yet coming from Resurgence. They're respecting the power of what Rin brings to the table.
Over top side though, there's going to be the Esmeralda in trouble. Lun trying to fall back, but it's Scott with the Hurricane that's pulling it all the way back, and Granger out of back will be able to find caught. Lapis trying to escape out of that situation, but Aeon trying to land that finishing blow and burns him down to the ground. But Lun's not over yet. Lun's trying to get that kill, and it will be a little bit more. That's going to be the armor being popped down the standing, but it's not enough. Killing spree for Lung, looking for the 4th kill here. It might just be the Maniac. He can actually pull it up, and no, it will be the flicker coming up from Lung instead before Lung lands a couple of hits.
What a dodge there coming from Lun. Axis Esports, they're flexing their muscle a little bit here, but Lun, he wants to try and take him out, but Granger, he needs more members to actually fight this here, but he's all by himself. Mr. V going for the stun, and he's gonna get taken down eventually.
Wow, he had nowhere to run. You saw that sort of formation coming in from the side of RSG. They got him cornered, and I felt like for the side of Lung, he kind of overextended for a little bit where it shouldn't really be the case. He could have just moved out the moment that he got that kill, and of course, loitering around the jungle. He's trying to get a little bit more EXP by taking a couple of camps. But, you know, after that sort of fight, it's either you focus down Turtle or you just back away.
Yeah, it was a tough one to decide here because that's the weakness of having a god, right? You heavily dependent on those kind of setups here coming from Badang or maybe even wall break. And when you catch enemy out of position, you burst him down immediately. But the downside here is people can actually flicker really quickly. And not to mention as well, they actually nerf the first skill coming from god as well. So there's no more actually slow coming from those stuns here. So even you set up stuns, you need those chain stuns to actually set it up for the full-blown burst coming from the god himself. So
that's right.
Axis Esports is going to try and play around as much from Rin, but that overextension from Long here, if it was any other normal draft besides the god, yes, it's worth it. Go for it. But because of this god here, without those mobilities, I feel a little bit worried for them.
Yeah, I guess it's not too much of that worry. Still pretty much early into the phase, and, you know, there's a couple of kills going back and forth between both sides. Well, in between, that's going to be that sort of Turtle up for contest once more. So that's where we'll see a little bit more of that stark difference coming from both ends.
Yeah, both sides, they really respect each other's power as well. And the Kufra as well, you saw how he was able to catch up so many players with the Tyrant's Rage himself. And all this misposition and position placements coming from both the teams is going to be one of those key factors in setting up for this kind of fights here. And they know, it feels like Resurgence, they know exactly what Axis Esports want and then just not giving it into them.
Yeah, they of course, for the side of RSG, I know, I can see that they are pretty much well composed into its getting into a formation, trying to go for those pickoffs, and yep, a couple of it definitely worked, but Aeon's got to be really careful. Every single time we see him dropping really low, they've already taken out that Firaga armor. So by the time they bring it to that sort of half health in that sense, he needs to actually be a little bit more careful into it, whether should he still be in the front line or fall back.
Yeah, definitely. And not to mention as well, when it comes to the secondary tank, right, it feels like Resurgence going to try and Xbox play the secondary tank in this regards. And once those Bloodless X comes up on the Xbox himself, he's going to be fitting that role perfectly into his mid-stage of the game. But as of now, he's trying his best to try and go for those kind of true damage pokes all around. And you see that Axis Esports is struggling to fight with his Xbox just because he has just so much invincibility and juke spells built into the hero himself, and those Firaga armor is one of the things that they need to focus on, and it's going to be tough trying to burst it down.
And of course, if you don't burst it down, he could easily go in with the last insanity and just pop the ultimate into it. All these members being cluttered up. So perhaps Axis Esports, even if they go in for that traditional split pushing, I feel like this composition does not favor that because, like you mentioned, the Gorg, not really great on mobility, but great in terms of going in for that full commit team fights.
Yeah, but you can see just based on Axis Esports playstyle as well, they were trying to focus on baiting out all those mobility spells coming from Resurgence, right? They want to bait as much as possible, and when they set up that big ultimate for Gord, that is where Gord comes up online fantastically. But to bait that out is going to be tough, considering how Aeon is able to poke non-stop, trying to push back everyone from the side of Axis Esports. You saw how the Grok was just punished from the side of Axis Esports, right? Immediately, bam, Aeon comes from behind, burns himself down to nothing.
And not only that, there's the Akai as well to actually set things up, just in case if there's any one of these members of RSG getting in towards that position to flank the Gord. So he will push them all the way back, or even clip them by the wall, set it up for the Gord for that perfect ultimate to channel through. So that's one thing that RSG has to look out for. But so far, I think that both sides are pretty much in an equivalent stage because it's too soon to tell, honestly. It's only about a couple minutes into
I like that you actually brought that up as well when it comes to Resurgence. In terms of their composition, they don't exactly have a lot of disables and stunts, right? Like, when you think about it, Akai's got a Hurricane Dance, a lot of crowd controls in this regards. Grok is great in crowd controlling. Same goes for the Gord as well, a lot of stunts. But from side Resurgence, they only have Kufra, who's a big nuisance in kind of disruptions. But if based on the draft coming from Resurgence, right, if you can pay attention, most of their heroes are based off damage output. So they want to drag into towards the kind of poke stage, where if they can poke one out, that's the goal. They're not ready for a full set normal combo. And whereas Axis Esports, every single hero that they have works as a mechanism. They need to set up for this big combo to actually team wipe the entire team coming from Resurgence.
I would say it's almost about the same, except for the fact that Resurgence still have a few safety net heading in towards the mid and late game. So you know, Esports going to be really annoying. Even if he doesn't join the team fights, you got to deal with him by the side lanes, and he can go in for the sort of split, trying to bring a little bit more of that attention. That's where RSG could, of course, set up a couple of camps towards those objectives to actually try to get a couple of takeoffs without having to actually fully commit to a full team fight.
Yeah, it feels to me as well. And the Cloud, I like how he made use of the Blazing Duet as well, trying to clear the creep waves here. You saw how immediately in the top lane phase, right, whereas Axis Esports, they messed up, they couldn't kill off the Kufra in time, and they would try to transition and salvage those ultimate cooldowns just by taking in tier 1. Immediately you saw how the Cloud came in, cleared the creep wave, and just denied even more economy away from Axis Esports in that regard. So it feels like Resurgence, they have this kind of weird composition where it's all damage output, not a lot of CCs, but they're playing towards their best ability, just denying those economy, because they know into the later stage, and if Esmeralda is always having those economy lead, he's going to be able to snowball despite having an Archive or not.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one fact that they have to consider. And I like that you also mentioned the Claude, because Claude was only brought in about 2 times. This is the second time that we're seeing Claude coming in as well. So I feel Claude, of course, is not really that S tier pick that is always really
it
unlisted.
used to be.
It used to be back in the first season, but now we're looking at this brand new season where there's a little bit of that better sort of hybrid mage slash marksman like a Kimmy. Then a lot of that, of course, favors in towards those sort of picks where the damage output is pretty much good enough for you in terms of like making your enemies build against you. So that's a little bit tougher. But when you have the Claude, of course, it's great for those perfect shred, but it's really down to how they utilize that Blazing Duet or how they actually go in for that sort of juke. But I would still say Claude is still A tier in that sense.
Yeah, and we saw Parasite use that Claude, right? If I'm not mistaken, yesterday.
Yeah.
Because Parasite, he was doing so well with that Claude. He almost finished off the opponents, but the team just couldn't catch up to him. That's how fast he was. But you know what? We've talked a lot about the game. Since there's a pause happening at the moment, let's just bring it back to MPL in general. For everybody watching us right now, we are here at KL Live. There's still a lot of time that is here in MPL. That means you can still come to KL Live, right? If you're watching at home, just take a taxi and just come over. Get your friend to drive you here. Walk over here if you have to.
Crawl if you have to as well.
Or crawl.
Oh yeah, of course not suggested. There's of course many form of ways that you can get yourself in towards KL Live to watch not only some of these matches, there's also the Grand Finals, which will be coming up later on. But later, we're also seeing who's going to win this match and fight against the members of EVOS Esports Singapore.
That's right. That's going to be another best of 3, and the winner of that will be facing Todak in the Grand Finals. Best of 5. What are these guys showing?
Oh,
this
24-10, 2019. So
something.
Well, I guess there's going to be a couple of announcements for them, but I'm not too sure. But of course, you guys can check out their page as well. Now, I like how the fans here, they've been really supportive. Like, back in the days, like, there's not too many Singaporeans actually making their way downtown to
Malaysia,
Kuala Lumpur. And now we're seeing, like,
a lot more.
A whole lot more.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. When you guys mentioned about walking over, running over, grabbing a taxi,
or
you forgot about flying
over. Yes.
That's that's one of the best ways.
That is the best way. So again, if you're watching at home, make sure you come down to KL Live. We have a lot of activities lined up here as well by our legendary sponsor, Black Shark, where you can actually go out and win yourself some awesome prizes. Seems like we're getting back into the game, so guys, take it away.
Alrighty, as we see a little bit more of that sort of contest over on towards the mid lane. They're just trying to balance out the wave, while Bloodless Axe have also been purchased by the Towns. So he's going to be having a pretty much good time going in for a little bit of that life steal in that sort of sense. Of course, Gold still favoring the side of Resurgence and about 3,000 of difference for the time being. Now, Turtle's still up for grabs, but none of these teams seem to be all too interested in that.
Yeah, hold that thought for now, because Mr. V, he might be in a little bit of trouble here, but Evo X is going to get forced out a little bit here. Once again, Rin trying to set up those conversions, and Aeon just being a huge nuisance. However, Omni's the one going to get caught out, but he survives with a Blazing Duet. Blood with the saves, comes back with a double kill.
Great Moonlight fall, and they will go into the try to take that turtle away. Evil X caught in between, looking for Look, almost bringing him down, but it will be Rin caught by the corners of the wall as Aeon alongside with the Krupa. They'll be able to get one, and Evil X is trying to find a way to get out of that mess.
Wow, Resurgence just playing Axis Esports strategy right here. You can see the split push as well. You can see the Thomas pushing down bottom lane. However, right now, EvoX is going to try and bait a little bit more movement, but Aeon is zoning fantastically. Look at this. Second item being immortal immediately just to play the tanky role coming in from him.
However, 1 versus 1 between Lasted and him, and then now we're seeing Sana winning the trade, and Scott tries to push him back with a hurricane dash. They got clamped down, and Sana has to fall. There's too many members right in between, but the turtle has been snatched away by Resurgence.
Look at this. Axis Esports with the God Rid. He forced to pop the ultimate. Because of this, now Resurgence, they know the God is ultimateless. And because of that, they are going to go run rampant. Aeon popping the fire from clearing the creep wave now. Tier 2 is going to be up for grabs. And I don't think Axis Esports can defend against this without the bottom in this picture.
Oh no, look at Scott. He's already falling to 35%. Mr. V is covering the tracks as well. So in case if any of these members of Axis goes in for a little bit of that dive, then they will be able to actually get another pick-up. And RSG, we talked about the early game, and they are so well known for that. 8 minutes in the game, pretty seen, so many skills coming out. Aeon have a little bit more safety net, while Death Sonata has been pulled out. And Resurgence here having a little bit of infographics for you guys, and they've only finished top 4. So if they win this, they will be in the top 3.
Wow, that's gonna be record-breaking here. The stakes are this high coming from Resurgence. Will they be able to pull it off? You can see Arby starting things for the blazing duet. Long almost gets taken down so low, but it's not over yet. Mr. V, he's looking for the kills, but unfortunately a little bit too slow towards the kill.
And Aeon still by the corner there. Of course, he does have the immortality. He's almost getting clipped out. Garga Armor will be popped with the usage of Last Insanity, as we see a little bit of re-engagement coming in from Mr. V. And we talk about having a single tank. It's still pretty much effective for the side of RSG because they are putting double or nothing on that top side pressure, and there's no commitments from the rest of Axis Esports. Look at that. Court all by himself over bottom side as Sana is plotting the next move against Axis members.
Well, Aeon is doing a fantastic job here. Just because of that immortality, you saw how much invisibility that Firaga armor immediately doubles the effectiveness of that teamfight. And now, speaking of which, Lund just got his Holy Crystal. He's got a total buff, he's got the blue buff. He's going to try and run rampant and try to snowball his way from the side of Resurgence to actually end this game as quickly as possible.
That's right, very surgical moves coming from Resurgence, not really making too much of those mistakes, and here comes a little bit more of that sort of commitment coming in from the side of Axis. Well, that hurts, definitely going to fall, but Mr. V's going to buy a little bit more time. Lasted put that spot on, has to watch as we see the rest of RSG now focusing on getting that very first Lord of the game.
Oh, Lord is out for grabs and Axis Esports. I'm not too sure how they're going to be contesting here. And you can see on the bottom side as well, Sana is always constantly trying to apply pressure with the split push. And it feels to me, Axis Esports, they're known for the split push, and Resurgence is using that against them.
Well, Resurgence got this free Lord, and there's no way that Axis Esports could even reply or even risk themselves, but this is just the first Lord. It may not hit as well as how the rest would be, but here comes the team fight coming in as well.
Oh, here comes the Firestorm banning baited out from the side of Resurgence, but from behind, Arby trying to go for a blazing there, and he survives. He did the damage. He clutches it, but at the same time, it's not over yet. It's only a little bit of poke fun. But still, Axis Esports, they're trying to bait out some spells, and Aeon, he's just applying the pressure time and time again with the Firestorm.
And now we're looking at Axis Esports. They're not really having too great of a time because what they were known for is being used against them. Look at it, sort of commitment coming from the side of Resurgence. They have 3 members wrapping them around, and the Kufra's ready for that flank as well. Here comes a charge, and it might just perhaps hit onto some of these members. Evil X going in to clear off the wave, and Lund is just trying to take it down while Aeon seems to get a little more damage. Going for the diamond blow. He gets caught out, and somehow he makes it out alive, and that's one more turn-based destruction over the bot side while the Lord is going up the top lane.
Mistakes were made, but somehow survived Axis Esports. What is going on? But the Lord is going to be knocking down here from side Resurgence here. The tier 3 is going to be standing right now, but Aeon from the side still poking requirements up.
Whoa,
but
Mr.
here comes Mr. Ray!
Tyrant Rage being used up as they're all pinned on the wall by the side of the Hurricane Dash, and Scott was the first one to fall in that battle. Asana's going to focus in on that mid lane, and you see Lund trying to crack another one from the top side. Lasted almost falling out. little bit more before he massive gets that sort of escape. And now RZ going in for Evil X. What can the Grog do as he gets pulled back? He's all by himself. Massive gonna catch. Well, blasted with the French crack. Tries to take down Aeon at the back as well. Flicker being used. And now they're looking for the win. They do have the minutes, but the Bosskurr is looking to actually clear the minute win. Look for a triple. Can the Esmeralda go in for the Maniac? There's not enough, but RSG, they got more than what they look for.
Exactly, they took out all the tier 3s and the crystals are pretty much exposed. Lone is still alive. You can see Sana, he's tanking his way through. He's got the life steal. He's going to try and end this game. And it seems to be game number 1. Resurgence takes it.
Such a great clinical